Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Brev. Welcome to another MLB The Show 22 video. The new featured program called Spring Cleanup is here, and we're going to take a look at all 5 of the boss cards that you can get from this program, and I'm going to give you my best advice on which one you should take to upgrade your squad. Really excited about this program. There's a lot of good cards, and actually at first glance, the program looks pretty easy to complete. You can choose 2 of the 5 cards in the bosses pack. They are all sellable, and you get to choose them, and you get both packs by 255,000 XP, which is a lot lower than the last program. There are no non-sellable random packs anymore, which I think is a W, and overall this program just looks a lot cleaner than the last one in my opinion. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more MLB The Show 22 content, and let's dive right in, starting with the Classics pack, which is known as the Henchman pack. It's just lower overall diamonds that you can get earlier in the program. There are 5 of them that you can get out of here, and there are actually 3 of these choice packs scattered throughout the program, so you'll be able to choose 3 of the 5. These are also sellable. There's only 2 cards in this pack that I think are decent. Unfortunately, this Victor Reyes card is basically unusable with how low his power is. This Ross Stripling card looks really bad. Nothing appealing about him at all, even low hits per 9 and like a very standard pitch mix. And then Prospects Alec Boehm just looks okay to me. The stats really aren't that bad, but he plays a very highly contested position. But I do want to talk about the 2 cards I think you should be taking for sure out of these packs, and the first one is Monthly Awards Flashback Alex Dickerson from 2019. This card is actually really good, if nothing else as a bench bat. He's a little bit of a baby Christian Yelich. He's a lot slower, slightly worse defense, and a lot less power versus left, but all the other attributes are actually pretty close to Yelich, which is insane. I think this is just a really well statted card, and honestly just a no-brainer from this pack, which is just basically free diamond cards. And then secondly, I think you should for sure be taking this David Price as one of your choices from this pack as well. It's a flashback from the 2017 postseason. This is probably the most unique card we've seen released so far this year. I mentioned in my last gameplay that I did with David Price that I wish they had kept his primary pitch as a 2-seam instead of a sinker. Well, this one has 2-seam instead. Good pitches, great speed differential between them, and this is a relief pitcher David Price card with really big stam, 78 stamina. This is a card that can eat a lot of innings for you. 78 stamina on a reliever is extremely high. He's going to be very flexible in your bullpen, and his pitch mix is just as good as the award series. Again, for a free card that you just get while grinding the program, I think this is a no-brainer if you need an extra lefty in your pin. Now let's get to the real juice of the video, the actual bosses pack. There are 5 of them. They include 93 breakout Eddie Mathews, 93 milestone Zack Britton, 93 all-star Ernie Banks, 93 all-star Tom Seaver, and 93 second half heroes David Justice. I'm going to start with the card which I think is the worst one out of the 5, and that's this Tom Seaver. Unfortunately, until they fix his delivery to be the proper Tom Seaver delivery, I can't recommend this card to anyone. Of course, Tom Seaver known for the really floaty curveball and changeup, really slow off speed, but as of right now he has the same problem as Oral Hershiser, Lefty Grove, etc., where they accidentally left his windup as like the generic windup 1, so he doesn't have the deceptive over-the-top delivery that he's had in years past. I have to imagine they'll fix all these deliveries at some point, but even when they do, this is still just a middle-of-the-road starter in my opinion. He could be a little bit better than I'm leading on once they fix his delivery, but considering how good the rest of the cards in this pack are, I just think he's the worst choice as of right now. Next is David Justice, and for the record, I think the other 4 cards that I'm going to talk about are all really solid. The middle 3 are kind of a toss-up, honestly. They're all really good cards at this point in the year. But if you take a look at this Justice card, absolutely insane bat, and I did so well with his World Series reward card last year. I think he has one of the purest swings. He has no problem taking outside pitches to the opposite field with tons of power. I know what you're thinking when you take a look at this card, and it's the defense. Obviously, 45 speed is extremely less than ideal for a starting outfielder, and outfield is a really deep position. Of course, a ton of people already have tons of cards they're used to using, especially with the face of the franchise cards. But I have to say, in my experience this year, I haven't gotten punished a whole lot for poor outfield defense. He's still going to have the gold shield out there despite the speed, and I've been messing around with cards like Josh Bell in left field, and they've honestly been playing just fine. You're going to pick this card for the bat, and he is going to mess up in the outfield at times, but the bat is really good, and I wouldn't sleep on this card at all for a choice, especially if you need another left-handed thumper in the lineup. And I absolutely love that this card has reverse splits at the plate, meaning he hits lefties better. This is something I'll talk about when we get to Eddie Mathews as well, but I think lefties who can hit lefties extremely well are super valuable right now because there's a lot of mix and pitch handedness with starting pitchers, and a lot of the good ones that people are using are lefties such as Keuchel and Price. So having the lefties in your lineup be able to hit really well against lefties if you queue into one of the starters such as Keuchel and Price, I think is extremely valuable and raises the stock of this card quite a bit. hit. Next we have Breakout Eddie Mathews, who is another card I think is extremely good from this program. Same deal with David Justice. He's got more power burst left, which is incredibly good for a left-handed bat right now. 86-94 is nothing to scoff at against righties as well. This is just another card that's extremely well statted. Also brings a left-handed bat to third base, which is pretty valuable. You can play guys like Chisholm, Seager, and Devers there right now, but in general, kind of a rare commodity. He's going to have silver defense at third base as well, which is not a position that's terribly important for defense, so he's just going to play fine over there. And another card that just has an amazing swing and seems to get around on pitches inside, left on left extremely well. I like this card a ton. The one downside, again, third base is a pretty hotly contested position, so it might be hard to fit him in there, especially with no secondary positions. Next, we have All-Star Ernie Banks, which I think is probably the most slept on card in this Boss Choice pack. This is another card that's absolutely beautifully statted and plays extremely well with the starting pitcher meta right now. A lot of the righties you're going to be facing, with a couple exceptions such as like Alek Manoah, are going to have a little bit lower hits per nine, whereas a lot of the lefties you might queue into, such as Randy Johnson, Dallas Keuchel, David Price, they'll have a little bit higher hits per nine. So the fact that this guy has more power versus right and more contact versus left is extremely valuable. Obviously the contact right is a little bit low, I'm not going to deny that, but everything else on this card looks amazing. I also think shortstop is a bit of a shallow position at the moment, and having the third base secondary is a great option because he is going to play pretty subpar defense for you at shortstop just because of his speed. Although he does have gold shield over there at shortstop, his speed is going to limit him a little bit in his range, so I wouldn't expect a gold glover from this card, but he will be serviceable for sure and just brings an insane bat to a position of shortstop, which I definitely think could use one right now. And I just can't stress enough, with the lefties that you might be facing right now from the starting pitcher side, having 116 contact and 87 power burst left is so good. This is a card that's pretty similar to his NL Central Live Series collection reward last year, and that says a lot. And finally, we have milestone Zack Britton, who I saved for last on purpose because I think he's far and away the best choice out of all 5 of these cards. I talk often about how shallow left-handed relief pitching is, and considering this card's pitch mix and hits per nine, this is a card that unironically could be in your bullpen until MLB The Show 23. This card provides by far the most longevity out of any of the choices in this pack, and I think he is absolutely worth a choice for everyone. He can obviously get maxed out hits per nine if you go all the way to Superfractor Parallel with him, and I want to talk about his pitch mix as well. I really like it. In years past, guys who had a sinker and a two-seam together, it was kind of redundant because they kind of did the same thing. This year, I think guys that throw sinkers and two-seams together are going to be really hard to hit because of where you can throw them in the strike zone effectively. The par size of two-seamers actually does not change when you throw them up in the zone, so you can throw two-seamers a lot more accurately up, whereas you can throw sinkers a lot more accurately down. Almost forgot to mention that this Britton has outlier on his primary sinker as well. So despite the fact that this card throws 3 different fastballs, you can throw them in so many different parts of the zone and have different levels of accuracy with him that I think he's going to be really hard to square up in general. You could even sneak just a straight 4-seam fastball at an awkward part of the strike zone and you'll probably miss your opponent's PCI. All things considered, the pitch mix, the hits per nine, the fact that he throws left-handed out of the bullpen, I think this is by far the best choice in the pack. Don't get me wrong, the other 3 cards we just went over are extremely good, but like I said, this one will have the most longevity and value for your team overall. Should also be mentioned that Britton has max control and max break on his outlier sinker and also has max break on his slider. Just an absolutely disgusting bullpen arm and probably going to be the best left-handed reliever in the game for multiple months. So now that we've got the analysis of all 5 cards out of the way, I'm going to tell you guys who I think the best choices are. Again, you get to pick 2 of these 5 cards from completing the program, and you can also buy extra ones if you want. Like I said, they're sellable. Obviously, I think everyone's first choice should be Zack Britton. I think I talked enough about how good I think he's going to be for a long time. And then after that, it's really going to be a toss-up between Banks, Mathews, and Justice. I think they're all really close. They all bring different levels of value in different ways, and it's really going to depend on what position you need to fill the most between outfield, third base, and shortstop. For me, personally, that position is going to be shortstop, so my second choice is going to be Ernie Banks. I've also done so well with his cards in years past, so I'm excited to be using him this early on, but I think there is absolutely nothing wrong with choosing Eddie Mathews or David Justice, and honestly, even Tom Seaver if they do fix his delivery. But yeah, my personal choices for this program are going to be Milestone Zack Britton and All-Star Ernie Banks. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I would love to hear down in the comment section below who you're going to be taking out of this Bosses pack. Excited to get going on this program and grind it out and get these awesome new cards. Thanks so much for watching to the end. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.